All right, good morning, everybody. This is the Wednesday, March 18th, 2020 morning session of the Portland City Council. Carla, please call the roll.
Here.
Hardesty?
Here.
Udaly?
Here.
Wheeler?
Here. Under Portland City Code and state law, the City Council is holding this meeting electronically. All members of the council are attending remotely by phone, and the city has made several avenues available for the public to listen to the audio broadcast of this meeting. The public can also provide written testimony to council by emailing the council clerk at cctestimony@portlandoregon.gov. Again, that is at cctestimony@portlandoregon.gov. The council is taking these steps as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the need to limit in-person contact and promote social distancing. The pandemic is, of course, an emergency that threatens the public health, safety, and welfare, which requires us to meet remotely by electronic communications. I want to thank you all for your patience, flexibility, and understanding as we manage through this difficult situation to do the core function of the city's business. And the first item of consideration today is to adopt an emergency temporary moratorium on evictions due to non-payment of rent for residential tenants where the failure to pay rent results from wage loss due to COVID-19. This is an emergency 4/5 ordinance. Portland City Charter Section 2-113 in City Code Section 3.02.030.c.5 provide that matters not appearing on the agenda may be considered by council under suspension of the rules at any session. This provision in our rules exists exactly for this type of emergency situation. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules for the purpose of considering the ordinance imposing a residential eviction moratorium?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Hardesty, a second from Commissioner Udaly. For the record, 4 votes are necessary to suspend the rules under PCC 3.02.040.1.8 and Charter Section 2-113. Carla, please.
Mayor,
Commissioner,
I've got my hand raised.
Sorry, thank you.
I want to express a concern before we take the vote, and that is that since our ordinance mirrors the county's moratorium, it doesn't protect from evictions for unpaid utilities.
Commissioner Udaly, this is merely a motion to suspend the rules. We're not on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Commissioner Hardesty, you have your hand raised.
No.
Very good. All right, Carla, please call the roll on the 4/5 agenda, which is to suspend the rules for the emergency situation.
Fritz?
Obviously, we're in an unprecedented emergency situation, and I want to start the meeting by thanking Mayor Wheeler for his leadership over the past several days, and I, of course, support the motion. Aye.
Hardesty?
Aye.
Udaly?
Aye.
Wheeler?
Aye, the emergency ordinance is adopted. The rules are suspended. Carla, can you please read the 4/5 agenda item?
Adopt emergency temporary moratorium on evictions due to non-payment of rent for residential tenants where the failure to pay rent results from wage loss due to COVID-19.
Colleagues, thank you for taking up this matter on such short notice. We're in a very serious public health situation, and our community is following guidance from our state and county officials about how and whether to gather socially. We're also in the early stages of what is shaping up to be a very serious economic situation. My colleagues and I are laser focused on supporting the resilience and the recovery of our community, both social and economic. Put another way, we're trying to keep our community both safe and solvent. This is a dynamic and unprecedented event, and the county and city have been in constant communication about our joint response. We are united in protecting this community. Last week, Multnomah County Chair Deborah Kafori and I announced executive orders declaring states of emergency in Multnomah County and in the city of Portland. Yesterday morning, she and I amended our orders to freeze evictions during our respective states of emergency. Today, I'm asking Council to further ratify this action by approving it legislatively. We've worked with Multnomah County to build this policy, and we're each adopting the same language. The policy applies both countywide and citywide, so whether you're incorporated or not, you are protected. At its most basic, this moratorium says that anyone who's unable to pay their rent because of the impacts related to COVID-19 will not be evicted. After the moratorium is lifted, renters will have 6 months to repay the rent they owe. This action does not freeze rents. It gives people extra time to pay. Rent freezes are preempted by state law. We're exploring all options. I'm also working with my colleagues on an economic impact task force. This is a group led by Prosper Portland that's working on immediate, near-term, and medium-term actions to keep people in business. Immediate action is already underway, and there's much more to come. I'm very proud of the way that this council has come together in a unified manner to respond aggressively and in a unified way to this crisis. I'm proud of the partnership we've had with Chair Kafori in Multnomah County. The advice we've consistently gotten from our public health officials is that the best way to slow the spread of this virus is to go big and go early with public health measures. I believe that the best way to slow the spread of the economic fallout of this virus is to go big and to go early with measures that support local residents, workers, and employers. We will get through this together, and on the other side, we will rebuild together. Robert Taylor is here to answer any questions. And as you know, this is an emergency item, so we will be voting today. Robert?
I'm here to answer any questions. As the mayor said, we're in coordination with the county, and the county issued their emergency rule. The city would likewise adopt that rule by this ordinance, and any further ordinances adopted by the county on this topic would also apply in the city.
Commissioner Udaley has her hand up. Commissioner Udaley.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Taylor, I have a concern that I think is just an unintentional loophole and a very simple fix. Some tenants pay certain utilities directly to their landlords and can be evicted for non-payment of utilities. In fact, we saw that last week. And so I'm hoping that we can add some very simple language to close that loophole, because we certainly wouldn't want someone to be evicted if they are currently in arrears on, say, their water bill, which could happen.
Yes, Commissioner, this is Robert Taylor from the City Attorney's Office. Thank you for pointing that area of clarification out. We're working with the County Attorney's Office as they fine-tune the ordinance that they're going to adopt in furtherance of their emergency rule. We expect that issue to be addressed in the county's ordinance.
Commissioner Hardesty has her hand up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Robert. My question has more to do with the burden of proof. The way it's written, the tenant would have to make the case to the landlord. Is there any situation where the landlord would not be obligated if a tenant is unable to pay during this time?
The moratorium would apply to landlords so that they could not evict tenants who are impacted financially by the COVID-19 pandemic. It provides a process where tenants provide notice to the landlord of the impact, at which point the landlord is prohibited from evicting them. The ordinance of the city and the county would provide a legal basis for the tenant to object in court to that. We expect the court would give deference to the county and the city's ordinances. And I understand the county is also in their ordinance going to provide penalties and enforcement mechanisms.
And just one sort of technical thing here. I see Commissioner Hardesty has a follow-up question. Commissioner Udaly has a question. Let's do this. Keep your hand raised. Once I call on you, keep your hand raised. And then if you have a follow-up question, just keep your hand raised and I'll know that you have a follow-up question. And when you're done asking your questions, unraise your hand. So I assume at the moment Commissioner Hardesty has a follow-up, followed by Commissioner Udaly, then followed by Commissioner Fritz. Commissioner Hardesty.
Thank you, Mayor. My apologies. No, I'm lowering my hand now.
Okay, good. Commissioner Udaly.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I had a follow-up question for Mr. Taylor. So if we're not going to adopt language today that says that associated housing costs would also be included, and the county is going to adopt language, are we going to come back and amend this?
Thank you, Commissioner. This is Robert Taylor from the City Attorney's Office. Under the city's ordinance in the directive, it says that the City of Portland will be governed by the current order of the county and any subsequent ordinance adopted by the county on this topic. So when the county adopts their subsequent ordinance to fine tune and clarify this, those rules will also apply in the city. This is a way for the city and the county to be in total alignment and unified in addressing this public health hazard.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I don't have any further questions.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Fritz.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously we're hearing from property owners as well as from tenants, and everybody's very worried. I'm suspecting, Mayor, that this is the first measure that we're taking, and that there will also be a push to get the states and or the federal government to help out property owners as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. There are many different discussions taking place that include conversations with representatives of building owners, landlords, as well as tenants. And this is but the first step. We're early on in this pandemic, and there are many other options that are on the table for consideration.
Thank you. I have appreciated being copied on some of the things that you've been doing, and again, appreciate your leadership. So I know that everybody's very worried in this emergency, and there will be many other things. I also want to assure everybody from the Water Bureau's perspective that all properties have water, even ones that were shut off before currently have water. There will be no shut-offs during the emergency. But as in the rent ordinance, people will eventually, as things get back to normal, need to make payment arrangements. For right now, if people could reduce the number of calls to the Water Bureau, we have fewer staff working so that we can have them at appropriate distances. And so there are longer wait times. If people have questions about water service, please email them and we'll try to get to them as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fritz. Is there any further discussion of this item? Hearing none, Carla, please call the roll.
Fritz?
Aye.
Hardesty?
I just want to really reinforce my appreciation of how solidly this city council is working together during this emergency and during this crisis. And I am so grateful that my colleagues are stepping up in enormous ways. This is the right thing to do. And I agree with Commissioner Fritz. This is just one piece of a lot of moving parts at the time. I am very proud to vote aye.
Udaly?
I want to thank the mayor and the chair for acting swiftly on this. And I want to make it clear to the public that this is simply a immediate stopgap measures, one of the easiest things that we could do as far as addressing keeping people stable in their housing. It is, like everyone has emphasized, a first step. The next steps are going to require coordination and collaboration with lending institutions, with the state, and with the federal government. So please don't think this is all we're doing and that already cost burden renters are going to be stuck with massive rent arrears that they won't be able to pay and will just be evicted at the end of this. That is, we're not leaving it there. This is a first step, and I'm happy to vote aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The fourth agenda item is approve the ordinance is adopted on an emergency basis. Next up, I just want to note that the current agenda reflects items that have been postponed, and this notice went out. That includes all of the communication slots. It includes items 219 and 220 and items 221. With regard, moving on to the consent agenda, it is my understanding, Carla, that item 225 has been pulled. Item 227 has been pulled. And I would ask at this time, have any other items been pulled from the consent?
No, have no other requests.
Okay, I have a note here that 228 from Portland Fire and Rescue might be pulled, but no confirmation. Commissioner Hardesty, is 228 remaining on the consent agenda?
Sorry, Mayor, it took me a minute to unmute. Yes, as far as I know, 228 remains on the consent agenda.
Very good. Carla, please call the roll on the remainder of the consent agenda other than 225 and 227.
Fritz.
Aye.
Hardesty.
Aye.
Daly.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The consent agenda is adopted. With regard to the regular agenda, item number 233, and then we'll circle back to the pulled items on the consent agenda. 223 or 233, please, Carla.
Appoint Burke Nelson and Garcia Anahi Segovia Rodriguez to the Open and Accountable Elections Commission.
Commissioner Fritz.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, could you please do the other items first? I'm having some difficulty pulling up my talking points on my phone.
Certainly, and I notice Commissioner Hardesty has her hand raised. Commissioner Hardesty.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. All of a sudden, the volume went way down for me. Is that only me?
I didn't hear it. Did anybody else? Can you hear now?
Barely. I'll figure it out on my end. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. There will undoubtedly be more glitches as we get through this. Carla, call item 225, please.
$225, pay settlement of bodily injury lawsuit of Sarah Phillips in the sum of $11,000 involving the Portland Police Bureau.
Very good. This ordinance settles a lawsuit filed against the city by Sarah Phillips for an injury and emotional distress resulting from an encounter with a police officer during a protest in City Hall all the way back on October 12th of 2016. Phillips, who uses the pronouns they and them, has had one leg amputated and was wearing a prosthetic leg and using a crutch while acting as a legal observer during a protest against a vote on a union contract. They claim that the city was negligent in the manner in which the protesters were ejected from the building. The city asserts that video evidence of the event does not support all of Ms. Phillips' factual allegations. But in order to avoid further litigation costs and a possible adverse jury award, Risk Management and the city attorney's office recommended a payment of $1,000, which includes medical bills, pain and suffering, and attorney's fees and costs to settle the case. And I see we have Becky Chow here for further comments on this issue.
Hello, this is Becky Chubb. The settlement is $11,000.
Oh, sorry, I've got a typo.
I don't have any prepared remarks. If anyone has any questions, I'm here.
Questions, Becky? Who pulled this item? Oh, okay. It was apparently somebody. Yeah.
This is Carla. We had an earlier request for this, but they did not confirm it. They actually withdrew their request. So, and it was not in the Tuesday memo to be pulled.
Understood. Could you please call the roll?
Fritz.
Aye.
Hardesty.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Item 227, please.
Authorize application to the Department of Homeland Security Urban Area Security Initiative grant program for up to $5 million to enhance emergency preparedness through planning, training, and equipping of emergency responders in the Portland urban area.
And I'll call on Commissioner Hardesty.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, this is an annual application to Homeland Security for planning and emergency preparedness. I think that's all I need to say. Clearly, this is an application we put in annually, and we're very hopeful that they will expedite this grant because we need to do this work now. Happy to answer any questions.
Any further questions, colleagues? Carla, please call the roll.
Fritz.
Aye.
Hardesty.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Next item is 233. Commissioner Fritz, are you ready for that, or should I go to the others first?
I'm ready. Thank you.
All right, go for it. 233, you've already read it. Go ahead and do your introduction.
Thank you very much. Whew, very difficult managing all these electronic devices.
Yeah.
And this is another very happy occasion to appoint 2 new people to fill vacancies on the Open and Accountable Elections Commission. The commission makes recommendation on how to implement the Open and Accountable Elections program, which, as we've been hearing over the last several weeks, is going extremely well. The commission meets the 3rd Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock, and also multiple other times. They have subcommittees. They are so efficient in getting us recommendations whenever we ask for it. So I'm pleased to recommend the appointment of Burke Nelson and Anahi Segovia. Burke is an attorney who lives in Southeast Portland. He has a background working with the business community and can bring this perspective to the commission. He has a strong grasp of local governance since he served as a senior advisor to Mayor Wheeler. And Anahi is a community activist from outer East Portland. Anahi runs a Spanish immersion program in an elementary school in Gresham and works closely with many immigrant families in Montgomery County. Anahi spent time working in Congressman Blumenauer's office as an intern. These 2 individuals were both prepared to be present in person today, but because of the emergency, we asked them to stay home. But I'm very pleased that they're going to make excellent contributions to our commission.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardesty.
Sorry, Mayor, I guess I forgot to take my hand down.
We're all finding our way through this. Thank you. Any further comments on this item? Very good. Carla, please call the roll.
You want a motion to accept the report?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's a report. I'll accept a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hardesty, a second from Commissioner Fritz. Carla, please call the roll.
Fritz.
It's really inspirational that as we're going through these tough times, we have people who are willing to step up and volunteer and do whatever they can to help make the city run smoothly. And so I'm very grateful to these 2 people. Aye.
Hardesty.
I am so impressed with the work that Commissioner Fritz has done to continue to move the open and accountable elections process forward. I hope she's very proud of the work that she's done. And I'm thrilled that we still have community members that are willing to volunteer their time to actually help us make sure that this is the best city it can be. I vote aye.
Wheeler. I'm sorry, Daly.
Aye.
Wheeler.
These are two great appointees, Anahi Segovia Rodriguez and of course Burke Nelson, who I've known for quite some time and have had the pleasure to work with. Commissioner Fritz, thank you for continuing to bring very good people to the commission. These are great appointees, excellent work. I'm very happy to vote aye. The report is accepted. Next item, Carla, is item 234, please.
Authorize a contract with Brown and Caldwell, Inc. for professional engineering services for the Northeast 33rd Drive Pump Station Upgrade, project number E10910, in the amount of $1,719,235.
Colleagues, Environmental Services manages the city's stormwater and sewer infrastructure, which includes 99 pump stations that connect 2,500 miles of pipes to the city's main wastewater treatment plant. This pump station, which sits near the Columbia Slough, was built in 1973 and hasn't had any significant upgrades to its electrical and mechanical systems. This ordinance would authorize the Bureau to enter into an engineering services contract in order to upgrade the pump station systems to ensure reliability in protecting public health and our environment. Here today with a brief presentation is Paul Sudo, who's the engineering manager with Environmental Services, and quite possibly Philip McCormick is with Paul, and he is the project manager. Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Wheeler. For the record, this is Paul Sudo, and Philip McCormick, the project manager, is with me today. So with that, I will hand it off to Phil right now. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor Wheeler and members of council. My name is Philip McCormick. So I work with the Bureau of Environmental Services in the project management office, and I am the project manager for the Northeast 33rd Drive Pump Station Upgrade Project. We are here today to request council approval of an ordinance to authorize a PTE contract with Brown and Caldwell for design services. The pump station is located approximately 2 miles east of Interstate 5 and about a quarter mile north of Columbia Boulevard. It's a very small site bounded to the north by the Columbia Slough and to the south by private property, which is zoned general industrial. The site is very small. The approximate size is about 40 foot wide by 50 foot deep. So that's the property that the pump station sits on. And its proximity to the Columbia Slough presents some challenges for seismic design and environmental permitting. And it'll also present some challenges during construction for access and staging of equipment and materials. As Mayor Wheeler indicated, this was constructed in 1973. The pump station's mechanical and equipment and electrical components were installed in our original, to the original installation, and they've reached the end of their service life. Station has been evaluated several times since 2005 for project consideration, but the work was deferred in order to pursue higher priority projects within the Bureau. The project has moved up on the priority list due to increased instances of mechanical and electrical and control system failures. Our Pump Station Operations and Maintenance Work Group has requested that the 33rd Drive Pump Station Upgrade Project be accelerated to start as soon as possible. So one of the problems, the existing pumps are original, and those pumps have degraded in pumping capacity over the years. We went from about 1,600 gallons per minute pumping capacity to 1,300 gallons per minute. The primary objective for this project is to improve pump station performance and reliability. The pumps will be upgraded with high efficiency motors to restore pumping capacity to meet future wet weather flows and to improve reliability and performance. Features like odor control and any permanent standby generator will be added to bring the facility into compliance with current codes, regulations, and BES design standards. Standards for operability and maintainability have changed significantly since the pump station was initially constructed. The design team will look into options to reconfigure the pump station to shift the electrical room from the top of the caisson into a standalone electrical building. These changes will make access to the site and equipment safer and more consistent with a modern facility. Budget and schedule. So this request is for the professional technical and expert services contract for, again, $1,719,235. This contract does include contingency to allow some flexibility to resolve unforeseen issues during design. Contingency line items in the contract are owner controlled and will not be used unless they are authorized by BES. The total project budget is estimated to be $7.5 million, with $4.2 million estimated for direct construction, which would be the construction contract. The confidence level rating for the budget, the overall budget is low, as the project is still very conceptual at this point. The estimate will increase in confidence as the project progresses through design. So we have a proposed schedule. So we're essentially looking at trying to kick off design in June of 2020. Obviously, we'll monitor how things are going with COVID-19, but that's the current plan, with construction starting in June or January of 2023. So we did receive...
Philip, one moment. Commissioner Hardesty has a question.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm so sorry. I thought Philip was coming to the end. I don't actually have a question, but I just wanted to compliment Philip on his inclusion and equity participation in this contract. This is one of the better ones that I've seen at this stage of the process. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and be very grateful that this is very impressive. So I have some questions about how he got there, but I can wait for those answers.
Very good.
Okay, so consultant selection. So we did receive 3 proposals during the competitive selection process for the contract. The selection committee included 1 participant from the Minority Evaluator Program, and Brown and Caldwell was selected in accordance with City Code 5.68. And again, the negotiated fee for the Brown and Caldwell contract is $1,719,235. So the disadvantage, or the MWESB percentage for this project is 41.9% of the total contract value, which equates to just over $720,000. So we do have 5 sub-consultants, which all have certifications. The certifications and ownership information we have from the Certification Office for Business Inclusion and Diversity. So we have a structural engineer, DMBE certification, ownership Hispanic male, Elcon Associates, electrical engineer for the project, DMBE certification, Asian Pacific male ownership. Nemarium Engineers and Associates will be our traffic engineer on the project. They have a DMWESB certification, African American female ownership. Rhino 1 LLC, geotechnical engineer, DMBE certification, subcontinent Asian male. And then Rivero Design LLC will help with CAD design. They have a DMWESB certification, and their ownership is Hispanic female. The only other future council requests we currently have planned for this project is a return for authorization to go to bid in late 2022, and that's really all we have. So if there are any questions, we can handle those now.
Very good. Colleagues, any questions at this point? And just as we, the whole council received testimony from Edith Gillis on one of the pulled consent items via email. Carla, I've not received any public testimony on this item. Are you aware of any public testimony that you'd like to share?
We have not received anything on this.
Very good. Any further discussion? This is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. Carla, item number 235, please.
Authorize a temporary interfund loan not to exceed $200,000 from Portland Parks and Recreation System Development Charge Fund to Pittock Parking Lot Capital Project Fund to provide interim financing for parking meter installation.
Colleagues, this is a second reading. We've already heard a presentation and taken public testimony on this item. Is there any further discussion? Carla, please call the roll.
Fritz? Fritz?
One moment. Tim Crail has a question.
Not a question. Not a question. I just want to let you know she was disconnected and is trying to reestablish connection.
Okay, Carla, can you call her last, please?
Hardesty?
Yes.
Udaly?
Aye.
Wheeler?
I vote aye, and I want to thank everyone who worked hard on this. The Parks Bureau and Everett from Commissioner Fish's office put a considerable amount of time into this, and I want to thank him. And while I'm also stalling to get Commissioner Fritz back on the line, I also neglected to mention on the previous item that we just moved to second reading, Asena Lawrence has been very actively involved in shepherding that through. So I want to thank her for that previous item. I vote aye. Do we have Commissioner Fritz up yet? Tim, do we have any progress on Commissioner Fritz?
She says she's having trouble reconnecting, so you should probably move on. Unless you need her vote.
Would she like us to take the vote and move on?
I think you should go ahead.
Okay.
That's fine for this one.
Yeah, understood. Okay. Item number 235, second reading ordinance is adopted. The next item will need Commissioner Fritz back on the line is item number 236. Carla, could you please read item 236?
Yes. Amend ordinance to authorize a contract with the lowest responsible bidder for the Flanders Crossing Active Transportation Bridge project in the amount of $6,311,692.
Very good. And Commissioner Udaly, before I turn this over, I'll just say if we cannot reconnect Commissioner Fritz via the Zoom, I will just call her on my cell phone and we'll do our best to get her patched in the old-fashioned but highly reliable way. Commissioner Udaly.
Thank you, Mayor. I will just run down the basics of this contract bid. The original ordinance authorized a contract of up to $5.5 million. The low bid of $6,311,692.24 came in. Oh, well, that's confusing. Oh, yeah. Came in $811,692.24 higher than the authorized amount due to higher than anticipated prices for the steel truss bridge and unit prices for asphalt and concrete items. The engineer's estimate was not able to accurately quantify the costs associated with the increased contractor's risk of constructing a bridge at such a constrained site adjacent to and over an existing interstate freeway, or the high material costs due to the small pieces of work to be performed at multiple locations at different times. Although the Northwest District, Pearl District, and Old Town Chinatown neighborhoods in Northwest Portland are some of the densest residential areas in the state of Oregon, the pedestrian and bicycle mode split in these neighborhoods are significantly lower than mode splits from Southeast and Northeast Portland. A significant reason for this discrepancy is the lack of a safe and comfortable crossing of I-405 for people walking, cycling, and rolling. This project will connect the grid over I-405 and provide a safe and comfortable crossing for pedestrians and cyclists. This project is funded with a combination of funds from an Oregon Department of Transportation grant and transportation system development charges. This ordinance will authorize PBOT to bid and award the contract to construct the project. And that is it.
Very good. We have Nicole Pierce here to testify in this item. Nicole?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for having me here this morning. Good morning, Mayor Wheeler and Commissioners. I'm Nicole Pierce, Capital Project Manager in PBOT's Capital Delivery Division, and I'm the project manager for the Flanders Crossing Bridge project. And actually, Commissioner Udaley did a great job of covering it. The council did approve the ordinance to bid and authorize the contract back in July of 2019. That was for a not to exceed amount of $5.5 million. As Commissioner Udaley mentioned, when we opened the bids in January, the low bid was significantly higher than we had anticipated, a little over $6.3 million from Wildish Standard Paving. So the ordinance before you today is to amend that July ordinance to allow us to authorize that contract with Wildish Standard Paving. We've identified the funds and we don't see a problem funding it, and we're looking forward to moving with the construction of this project. So does anyone have any questions?
And I just want to confirm Commissioner Fritz is back on the line. Commissioner Fritz, are you back on the line? Hang on, stand by.
Hello?
Oh, hi, we're just taking the vote and we're not hearing you over Zoom. Can I just plug you in live here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. There's no further discussion on this item. It's an emergency ordinance. Carla, please call the roll.
Fritz?
Sorry, folks, I have lousy cell coverage at my house and my phone just hung up on me without moving a muscle. But I was able to reconnect to hear the presentation, and I'm happy to vote aye.
Hardesty?
Aye.
Udaley?
Thank you, Nicole. Aye.
Wheeler?
I vote aye. The ordinance is adopted and we have prevailed. We are hereby adjourned.
Well done, everybody.
Thank you. All right.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.